5:33. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Recording of members and guests present, introductions as needed. There's several new faces here tonight. We can send around a sign-in sheet.
Yep, so where it's at. Right
Okay,
here.
great.
Okay.
Thank you. Review of operating norms. You don't happen to have those convenient, do you?
I probably do in this mess somewhere. I'm sorry, Harley, I
Okay. Be polite, listen to one another, no interruption, no cross talk. Comments are addressed to the chair of the board, that's me, for public comment. And that common sense is the rest of it.
run meetings that respect time, have concise agendas, and are transparent are also on there.
Concise agendas.
Concise
Wonderful.
agendas.
Thank you. We have time for public comment. Barbara?
I'm here because I'm wondering if anything has been resolved. I'm here because I'm wondering if anything has been resolved.
I don't know that there's anything unresolved.
Okay.
Bob?
Okay, those who don't know me, I'm Bob Shorterman. Actually, I sent my son Spruce to this school before we made it into a library. But we vote for the position of library trustee. They manage and oversee the operation of the library. I feel that our trustees have been doing their job. Fred Stone at an earlier meeting said elected officials should do what they think is right. Now, matters of personnel, I understand, go to executive session. And this has created opinions without knowing exactly what happened. It is unfortunate that the board cannot explain their decision to the public. For me, at this time, having voted for the trustees, that I support their position. And the system makes it so difficult not to explain what happened. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Aaron?
Yeah, Chair, I'd like to just respond to that comment that perhaps the board maybe has not made their decisions or reasonings public, but one would presume that their reasoning and decisions would be made to the person whose position was that they were removed from. So I would think at the very least, elected or not, that the Board of Trustees would do that. So
We do have an offer sent by email to have a meeting with Ms. Barnes. I'm not sure if there's been a response to that yet, to make our position clear.
later would seem appropriate.
Thank you. Other public comment? Sue?
So what was the reasoning for the past 2 months that you wouldn't tell Lindsay why she was fired? And you wouldn't tell, this whole thing about, well, it was done in executive session, it's baloney. You talk in executive session, you make your decisions outside of executive session.
Correct.
And then you tell people what your decision is.
And we did.
And with no reason. with no reason. All you said was that she wasn't, whatever the word you used.
Loss of confidence?
Loss of confidence, which is nothing, which is absolutely nothing, which is why I don't trust the board anymore, which is why I had voted for all of you. And seeing how you've acted and reacted for the past 2 months, that's why I come here every meeting to see what you're going to do next, because you've lost my trust. And so, yes, I voted for
Loss of confidence.
Yeah,
Pardon me.
loss of confidence. But I have video evidence of why, and email evidence of why.
I've been asked a number of times by a number of people about the reasons for dismissal. The one person who hasn't asked is Ms. Barnes.
She did. You sent her an email saying loss of confidence. We're all here trying to find out why. And in our letters that we stood here and read 20 letters one night, we talked about that, and you still wouldn't tell her. So don't,
My
It's an
statement is
excuse.
true.
It's an excuse. You're making excuses, Harley.
Ruth?
I saw in the minutes, or that we're supposed to, there's a line item about involving community in the hiring process, and I just wanted to speak up with some alarm that it seems really unfair to hire someone who then through litigation or mediation might lose that job immediately. It seems like it's a premature step that's just going to cause the loss of time and money and cause a whole lot of drama. And I don't think it's right to do that at this time.
Thank you. I would like to clarify that on advice of council, those 2 items will be removed from the agenda when we get around to it, addition or deletion of agenda items. Thank you. Marty, I saw your hand next.
Yes, there are some things that certainly do deserve to be in executive session with regard to personnel. However, one thing that does not deserve to be in executive session and should not be withheld from the public is, who is your counsel? You still haven't told us. And who is paying for that counsel? Is that counsel coming out of library funds?
The council,
If it's coming out of library funds, then I think a lot of people in this town are going to have some very serious questions about the use of money that is raised for the library that is then used to defend the actions of the library board. So I'm asking you flat out, like I have in the last 2 meetings, and I've asked at the select board, who is this council and who is paying for it? That's number 1. And number 2, I would reiterate that the idea that, Lindsay never asked you why she was fired. She's been at these meetings. This question has been asked, and it's been bounced back that this is a personnel matter. There are some things within the guidelines of a personnel matter. Wage negotiations, benefits, things like that, that clearly should be in executive session, but there are other things that the public deserves to know about, and we are being told absolutely nothing. And to date, I haven't heard from the board one reason why she was dismissed, and neither has she. And I have not heard who your counsel is and who's paying for it. And that's something that the public has a right to know because it's funds that the public contributed. So are you saying that you can't even disclose who your attorney is?
You can give him a chance to answer.
I'm asking a question. When I'm finished, he can answer. Are you saying that on advice of counsel, you can't even say who the counsel is?
are you finished?
Go right ahead.
Counsel is Gary Kupfer from a law firm in Rutland.
Okay. And his fees are paid by?
He indicates that the library will not be paying.
Who's paying her?
He's indicated that the library will not be paying.
Is it a group? Is it a group? Is it part of the town? Is it a church?
The question is the library paying? The answer at this time is, it is not the library paying.
My question is, what group is paying? Who is paying? And why is that such a secret?
Because I'm not paying.
You're not. Who is paying her?
That would be up to the group that's paying.
How do I find this group and ask them if they're paying or not? What are you doing?
I'm answering the question.
No, you're not. What's part of this whole thing? Be open? Be open?
Transparent.
Transparent?
Correct. We have a lawyer representing our interests, and we are, at this time, to our knowledge, not paying.
Has this lawyer sent a letter to Lindsay stating why she was relieved?
I don't know what the lawyer has or has not done. I will find out tonight in executive session.
How long has he been retained? How long has he been on the job?
We met with him at the last special meeting, and we will meet with him tonight.
Is he here by any chance? Is he here?
No.
No.
Rhonda Schlangen, I'm going to try to get at this question in a very direct way. Given the politicization of libraries, given the increase in library bans, the bans on specific programming, the censorship of information coming into libraries, librarians being fired because of their positions, and the activity of certain special interest groups in defending conservative library boards who are censoring programs, banning books, it behooves you as a library board to be transparent to the community about which special interest groups, if any, are paying for your legal defense. Because that signals to us a very concerning trend that this library could be part of. So I think it's really important for the board to be transparent about where the resources are coming from that are being used either by this board to defend you all individually or collectively to defend the library. So that's the question. Not just is the town paying for it, but who is paying for it and what is their affiliation?
I see. Thank you. Although it's a pretty broad brush about all libraries and situations that they find themselves in this particular case, I don't think that the examples apply. However, the question is who's paying? We were told at the last meeting with the lawyer when we asked, what are your rates? This process seemed to have taken pretty quickly. The answer was, we aren't the ones paying.
Then wouldn't you want to know who's behind, who's paying for the resources?
Before stating who, I want to check with the lawyer.
Please report back to the community then about that information.
Unless there's some bizarre reason that we cannot say, which we would have to state the reason, but anyways, I think that's a low probability, unlikely. It'll be in the minutes.
I have a follow-up question to that. Did the lawyer seek you out or did you seek the lawyer out? Because it seems really irresponsible for the library board to go into this without representation and then just at the whim of a group paying for it. That's really, really irresponsible.
I think the thread that it's a group, an outside group paying for this is wrong.
But my question was, did the library board seek out the lawyer?
Yes.
Or did the lawyer seek out the library board?
No, I spoke to several attorneys, and This one was recommended to us.
And you didn't have it in the budget, obviously, but so you went into it not knowing how it was going to be funded, but we're happy to know that it's funded by somebody else.
At this point, that is my understanding, as was stated by the lawyer.
If I could follow up there, Chair, it would be really important to the community to know the interests of whoever is funding your representation. That would be really important to the community.
I see.
And what their interests are and what their agenda is, aside from this board.
I think this is a red herring because the lawyer did say who was funding them, but I want to make sure before I disclose something that may be someone else's business more than my business. No? Barbara?
Can you say if this individual or who's paying for it, is he from Pawlet or is it an outside from out?
It's a...
Can you say that?
It is a Rutland law firm, Gary Kupfer.
Yeah, that I understand, but who's paying? Is it an outside person from out of state? Is it somebody from out of town? Or is it somebody from Pawlet? Can you answer that maybe?
I want to check with the lawyer to, first of all, maybe there's an update because I didn't believe the answer when I heard it. So I want to find out if there's an update, and then I will know definitively, and we'll make sure, ask that it be in the minutes. You both had spoken first, Marty?
Yes, how is the action of the board in dismissing Lindsay related to her charges of harassment that were filed 5 weeks before the dismissal?
I don't know when the charges of harassment were filed, and I don't know where they were filed. I haven't seen anything about that.
So you're not aware that she filed charges with the town's attorney, Merrill Bent, and you have no information?
I didn't realize it was with the town's attorney, Merrill Bent. Lindsay did state...
This is the first you're hearing of this?
No. Lindsay did state that she filed harassment charges 5 weeks ago.
Yes.
If I recall the timeline correctly. And that was during the December meeting. 5 weeks ago would have been around the time of dismissal. That's all I know. Where they were filed.
5 weeks prior to the...
This is what I heard. So when it was actually filed, perhaps Lindsay wants to clarify, but that's what I heard on December 7th.
And nobody notified you of these charges 5 weeks prior to her dismissal? In that interim, nobody from the town, nobody at all notified you?
No one from the town notified me.
Nor the town attorney?
I had a conversation with the town attorney who did not talk about charges of harassment. Especially anything being filed. I don't actually know what the term means, filed.
Can you just clarify, when did you first hear about those charges? Was it before you dismissed Ms. Barnes, or was it after?
After?
And the whole board, isn't that the case?
Yes.
Yeah.
To my knowledge?
The first I heard of it was when Lindsay stood up and said it at the December 5th meeting. That was the first time I heard about it.
That's the first time I heard the words filed.
That was the first time I heard the word harassment.
Jed? Yeah.
To Marty's question, I think it's obvious that the harassment charges don't involve anybody on the board, or they would have been notified. And I've been to many of the board meetings in the past before this all started, and Lindsay was awful obstinate. She wouldn't follow the board's direction. She wanted to do things her way, and it was obvious. She wasn't the cooperative director. And it was in the board's realm to get rid of her. It's her decision. If she wants to fight it, that's something you can't foresee.
Let me verify. I had not heard of anything about filing charges of harassment until Lindsay spoke at last December's board meeting. Did anyone else, has anyone else been notified that charges have been leveled against any of the board members? Okay, thank you. Yes?
So, Corey Rail, I got sidetracked about the lawyer, but I did come here intending to talk to the board about gaining public trust or regaining public trust. And some of my thoughts were that you could have public comment before and after your open meeting, because a lot of times people want to respond to what you've discussed in open meeting in a timely manner, and not at the whole month later. It seems like it would do well for the board to do that. We do that on the school board.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Select board as well.
And that is because we are trying to be transparent and accountable to the public, the people who vote for us. And another, my thinking along those lines also is that I'd like the board to acknowledge the public and all of the people who have spoken up at these meetings for the last couple of months since Lindsay's firing. And at your next meeting, it would be nice to have an agenda item of a discussion of what the board has heard from the public and what the board intends to do about the issues that we're bringing up right now. Because there's a lot, and you need to do some work together to know, who you are as a board, and, do you value transparency, accountability, and good governance. So anyway, I'm asking you to put that on your next agenda.
Correct. To that end, although I don't think I fully addressed what you asked for, but to that end, we made sure that the letters we received were part of the minutes for the meeting that we
Right.
received them in.
Yes, and you have done a good job of acknowledging the public and a lot of, differing opinions to the board's actions. It would just be nice to say, here, how are we going forward with this information from people who have elected us? What are we going to do about the input that we've received? So that's just something for you to work on together, but.
Yes, and hence my reaching out to find legal representation about what I could, or what the board could or could not say.
Right. Ideally, you would be able to talk pretty openly about what you're conducting in public in open meeting, because it's open meeting. So hiding behind counsel is kind of against transparency.
No, you might have misunderstood that.
Okay.
Because it wasn't open meeting topics, but.
Right, okay, I see.
As far as transparency goes.
Sure.
Also, the public comment being early, my understanding is that in the select board, they used to have public comment early, and when one of the select board members was elected, he said, that's the first thing I'm gonna change, is make them wait till the end. And so I thought this was.
Sure, yeah, I know that, but it's nice because it's almost like a discussion. If we're hearing something that happens and you have an idea about what, but yeah, it's an option. We do both. I have two for the school board.
Lindsay?
It's actually quite simple. So in the Pawlet Public Library bylaws, there is an order of business, which there is a very clear template of how you are to govern your board meetings. And in that, it says that you are to read the operating norms at the beginning of the meeting. There is to be public comment at the beginning of the meeting. You're supposed to conclude with reading the operating norms as well as an additional public comment. And these are in the bylaws, of which this board has never followed the operating of business.
I did design the agenda based on the template for the agenda based on the bylaws, but I must have overlooked the public comment second round. Yes, ma'am. Could you introduce yourself, please?
I'm sorry, Carol Schoenwetter, North Pawlet. Do you realize that this shroud of secrecy and the word transparency are in opposition to each other? And do you realize that when you say we cannot speak about it, we can't answer publicly, that it sounds absolutely ludicrous? Do you understand how ridiculous that sounds to us? That we can't tell you?
There is a right to privacy. There is.
But the
It exists.
person who has had this thrown at her has no idea why.
Whose privacy?
Whose privacy?
Lindsay Barnes' privacy. And
She's here
as
to
I
find
said
out what's going on.
earlier- As I said earlier, the one person who hasn't asked anyone on the board the reason why is Lindsay Barnes. She is welcome to ask. And we have offered a meeting to her and her attorney, to answer that question.
Well, evidently there's a trust problem.
Lauren Herbert Pawlet, actually went to third grade in this very room. I just want to say, for everybody here, I appreciate how sensitive and difficult this is. And I also appreciate living in a small community. And as a business owner in Vermont for 30 years, I also know how difficult it is to fire somebody. And to do so, we have a protocol. And I don't know what the protocols are for the library, but I know that if we are ever to fire somebody, and we have fired people in 30 years twice, that we need to have written warning to that individual. If they don't comply with like a meeting to talk about the problem, then we actually have to write in writing that they refuse to come. But the point, I think, is for me, and this is, I think so much of this is like speculation, what Judd is saying, or we're thinking, we're trying to come up with reasons because we don't know. But the point is, I don't understand how any of my employees would ever not know why they were fired before getting a dismissal email of any kind, because they would have already had some kind of warning of an opportunity to improve or an acknowledgement for the things they had done incorrectly. And so I hear you, Harley, when you say that the only one who hasn't asked is the person themselves. But I don't know how this could get, it's so hard for the community. Like, I don't know how we're actually here without knowing still what that reason is, just because Lindsay hasn't asked why herself. Like, that's what I've heard. So anyway, if that makes any sense.
I've been fired a couple times, and I knew exactly why. And I'm sure in this case that everybody involved is pretty intelligent, that there's knowledge about exactly why.
Then I'm going to presume then you feel like on some level you're protecting Lindsay.
Absolutely, it's my responsibility.
Okay.
For the record, I'd like to say I have absolutely no idea why I was dismissed. I've never had any conversation with any of the board members. I was never warned. I was never given any opportunity to resolve any issues that might have been bothering you. So I have absolutely no idea why, and that is because this board has not told me why. I was given an email saying that I was dismissed.
Have you asked why?
I asked twice. Yes, sir.
Question? When?
At the select board meeting and at a meeting here.
And why not in writing?
I mean, yeah, I'm not even going to respond to
Doesn't
that.
deserve a response.
No response.
I have a response, Chair, if I might.
1 second. Who else? Anyone else?
Harley?
Aaron?
I was present at both those meetings, and I was there to witness Ms. Barnes stand up and address the board and the gathered community saying that she was dismissed without any cause, reason, or explanation. That is her asking for one. Did she put it in writing? I don't believe so. Did she ask you directly? No. But I would say that any smart, discerning person would be able to evaluate that as her asking why.
She asked...
That wasn't a question, forgive me. That was just a statement.
I'm going to answer
It's not a question.
that at the select board meeting, she's addressing the chair of the select board.
It was once here at a library board meeting too.
I'm not aware of it. I will check the minutes. I would like to know why I was dismissed, or words to that effect would be, it's my fault. And we have offered a meeting. I don't know if there's been a response yet to that offer of a meeting to clarify. So the fact that it hasn't yet been, Lizzie's question been answered, it is on its way to being answered if she wants to hear it.
We don't want to hear it, Mark. I think we've all made that
to
point.
Lindsay.
Why is it 2 months later, Harley? Why wasn't I told at the point in time that I was dismissed? Why suddenly, 2 months later, are you coming up with some reason?
Right.
People don't dismiss reasons for dismissal. They don't. They just dismiss. That's how it's done. I will read a clause, a paragraph here. Your employment with Pawlet Library will be on an at-will basis, which means you and the library are free to terminate employment at any time, with or without cause or advance notice. This letter is not a contract indicating employment terms or duration. So it is not.
Where's that letter? I've never seen that.
You wrote it.
You wrote it.
You wrote this letter.
Someone else?
That's my letter. I'd love to see it. Can you read it?
No, we will move on.
Why not?
No.
Yeah, let's read it. She just brought it up.
Read it.
Transparency.
Yes, and I read verbatim what is in that letter.
And is that referring to my position? No.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Interesting.
Thanks, not the director's position. Got it.
Oh, wow.
How would you be writing that paragraph if it's your position?
It's unbelievable.
But you just
Yeah,
read
but you just referenced it to her position. You just used it as reference to her position, as if she had signed on for that.
No.
Pardon my interruption.
That was, sorry, that was the implication by what you read, and saying that it was her letter completely suggested that it was the terms of her employment. So I think this kind of trying to catch somebody out on terms.
It was her letter as in she wrote it. That's all.
That seems completely immaterial.
Misleading.
Completely immaterial. What I would like to understand is, again, Rhonda Schlangen, cut through some of this back and forth and trying to catch someone out, whether they ask directly or not. First of all, it's the employer's responsibility. I think if you talk to anyone who is an employer, it is the employer's responsibility if you're terminating someone. I'd like to see the board be the grown-ups in the room here, frankly, to be really blunt. If you are employing someone, you owe it to them, ethically, morally, and as part of this, as representatives of this community, to treat that person with dignity and respect. And as a partner in the upkeep and management of this community resource. And so I would like to understand what your protocols and procedures were for performance management, both sides, to get feedback about what the board's doing and what you could be doing better. And going forward, I would love, as part of what Corey was saying, we've had so many conversations. I would love to see a summary of the points that community members have raised from different perspectives and how you plan to proceed, and not just respond to this instance, but how you plan to shift some of your practices so that you don't find yourself in this position again. starting with how you manage the person who is hired to be in a really, really integral position. Adele is in it now, who has, done an amazing job, but I would like to see anyone in that position to have some sort of structure or situation where they're treated with dignity and respect, including, as Lauren was saying, just basic standard employment practice of performance reviews, and if there's a problem, having some kind of effort that is respectful to address the challenges and move it away from personality conflicts. We wouldn't be spending so many evenings here sitting and having these conversations.
Thank you. There were multiple points. I could respond to them because some were general, but I see several people still want to speak. Marty, I saw your hand first.
Yeah, I just had about 4 comments, and I don't even know if I can remember them all, but in response to what Jed had said about the role of your board with regard to the library and the role of Lindsay, I think it would be good for you to restudy exactly what the responsibilities of the board are versus the responsibilities of a library director, not just Lindsay, but any library. And it's my understanding, having been on several library boards, that the director has absolute discretion in who she hires, who she fires, and that is her prerogative. And it is not the prerogative of the board, nor is the prerogative of the board, while she is away, to have the personnel files removed and given to the library board for study. I've been on a bigger and far more sophisticated library board, and we never did that, ever. This was simply outside the bounds of what we did. And
Mr. Kravitz.
Wait a second.
No, I have the floor.
No, you don't.
No, you don't. You've given the floor to me.
I
And
will
I'm saying
respond
right now,
to this charge right now. There were no personnel files taken from the library. Let me clarify that. That is a false charge. Please continue.
A computer though, right? It was a computer?
Yeah,
Computer taken from the library, right? Personnel files on a computer.
I don't know.
Oh, should find that computer.
but the computer was removed from the library, right? So in essence, you did remove the files. This is outside the purview of a library board. And the point I'm making is very clear, that I don't think that the members of the board who voted for the removal of Lindsay clearly understand what their responsibilities as a library trustee are versus the role of the director of the library. That's number one. And I think there's a lot of confusion about this, that there's some things that are your territory and there are other things that are not your territory. And there's been some misrepresentation. On the subject of minutes of meetings, I would say this: I've read the minutes of the meetings, and I gotta tell you, they conform to the barest minimum required by the state of Vermont. The essence of what's going on at these meetings is not described in the minutes of the meetings at all. If we really want to know what's going on in these meetings, then we've got to go to PEG TV to see what's really going on. Because, you know, you referenced Martin Kravitz spoke. Well, what did he speak about? Nothing. Someone else spoke, but what did she say? Well, nothing. This is the barest minimum required by law. And this is not accurate reporting. This is not accurate minutes of a meeting. And it goes right back to the fact that, you know, this board seems to be running this ship without a rudder. It just seems like you do things on a spur of the moment, you fire someone, you don't feel that you're obliged to say why to her or to anybody else in the town. I've just never seen anything like this. It's, I'm in new territory with this library right now.
The reason I asked for people to submit their letters, and I specifically asked you for your letter, I've
And
never
that was
received it
available.
from
That was
you.
available at the select board, because every member of the select board received a copy of it. You only had to walk across the street and say, give me a copy of Mr. Kravitz's letter. And it was right there. Did you do that?
The reason I did that is because when I read the select board meeting about people's comments, I thought that they did not capture the gist of the comment. So I thought to address that, to make sure that it isn't just vapor that gets dissipated and nobody remembers, is I asked people to submit their letters, which are now part of the record.
But did you go and obtain my letter?
I asked you for it, Marty.
Okay, I didn't forward it to you, but did you go and seek it across the street?
I seeked it from the author. Molly?
Yes, I just want to point out, I think, and this came out in some of the, exchanges somewhere along the way, didn't the board give Lindsay an opportunity twice to have a review, and she chose not to go to either of those reviews, which would have, in fact, one of those reviews, the more recent one, was the one where you said it was mandatory because you had serious concerns that you wanted to talk to her about, and she chose not to attend that meeting.
I won't comment on that.
You did give her the opportunity to find out ahead of time what the issues were.
I will not comment on that. Jed?
I would like to see the board end this circle of comments that's going nowhere and get on with the rest of your business.
We are a little bit. Anyone who hasn't spoken yet? Going once? Yes.
Am I right in thinking that the board recommended a 10% salary increase for Lindsay?
Correct.
Okay. Am I right that it was about 10 days later that you fired her? Am I right on the 10 days, or was it longer?
Let's call it pretty shortly thereafter.
Okay. So am I right in concluding that her sinful act was in between the pay raise and when you issued the firing email?
I will answer that in, The raise was not performance-based. The raise was based on the work done by Lindsay of researching, and Vermont Department of Libraries had this information available, researching what salaries should be for a librarian. And she made a case for, and there was a chart for libraries of this size, what the range of salaries were. She was asking for 19% or thereabouts, and it was compelling. It was compelling. I read the tables in the report from the Vermont Department of Libraries. It was compelling, and I was the person who promoted giving a 10% raise. It was not performance-based. It was based on a study of what librarians make in this state. And it's a range of values, and her salary this year was within that range, and salary next year will be within that range. But it seemed a compelling case to me, based on credentials also, and hence I promoted that. It was not performance-based.
Or credential-based.
Oh, partly credential-based. Partly I would say. A little tougher to suss that out from the report from the Vermont Department of Libraries, but the range. I don't think you've spoken yet.
I haven't, you shall. So I apologize if you covered this before I got here. Has the board or you been in contact with the town attorney?
I've been in contact with the town
Is that
attorney.
Merrill Bent?
The town attorney is Merrill Bent.
Okay, so you've been in consultation and gotten advice.
I've been in contact with Merrill Bent.
Has there been a conversation?
Yes.
There's other counsel? You have other counsel besides Merrill Bent?
They don't
Yes.
have Merrill Bent.
Merrill Bent is not involved?
Merrill Bent represents the town
Okay.
select board.
Yes. So,
She does not represent the library.
okay, so there's other representation?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Last comment will be from Lindsay.
Yeah, I just wanted to go back to the letter that was referenced. I think since this is a public meeting, I'd like it to be documented for the record in the minutes that you referenced this that letter that I wrote inaccurately, sort of making it appear as if it was directed to my position. Well, what I'd like to know is if this is a letter that I wrote, can you say who this letter is written to and the date that it was written, and can that go into the record for the minutes, please?
The answer is no. I read that paragraph from the letter that clarifies what an at-will state is, which Vermont is. That's all. I read that from the letter because I thought it was a good example of clarity.
If you're referencing a letter and somebody is holding up a letter and saying, here it is, where is the transparency from the board? Why can you not say who this letter was written to?
He can.
He chooses not to.
So you're choosing not to reveal who this letter was written to and the date of which it was written?
Correct. I will say you were the author, you were the signed author, that's all.
And why are you choosing not to be transparent with the community of Pawlet?
It is not germane to this conversation. There was nothing wrong with the letter.
We're not saying anything's wrong with the letter. It was
But you referenced it.
It was referenced, it's part of the meeting.
Yeah, it should be
Spoken about in the
clear
meeting,
with-
it should be in the minutes, and a copy of it should go with the minutes, because you talked about it. You brought it up, Harley, which
did.
is fine. You brought it up. Now it should be part of the minutes. A copy of the letter should be part of the minutes that you brought up and referenced. Just picking.
And not just reference to her as the author as
That I
well.
read will be part of the minutes. That is all I read.
But you referenced the letter.
Yes.
The letter is a personnel file. The letter is, so it's. Well, why is it here then?
Waving it
Yeah, she waved it around all of us.
I don't have a copy of it, I don't, I always wave around, but it is a personnel.
It's right there, you should look over and see it.
Yeah, maybe I should, that is a good point, Cory, but.
You guys, you're just.
So we
it's
are
just
going to
around.
move on from this. I don't think we will have agreement by any means.
So.
The purpose of that was the paragraph. It's an at-will state, and this is how it works for a library employee.
Don't
Then you
bring
should
up-
have never
you should
referenced
never
the
bring
letter.
it up.
You could have made the statement without referencing a letter. And referencing the author of that letter. If you're gonna go that far, then you should do as Ms. Barnes asked,
Open up.
and put the rest of it on the
It was in
record.
reference to the firing process as well, so in that, and we're talking about the library director, which that obviously doesn't apply to, so it doesn't make sense.
I'm not tracking.
The letter
Yes?
and the words that you wrote about employment isn't about why.
I didn't write.
What?
I didn't write those words.
I know you didn't write.
You typed them in your computer.
Oh,
They're
I'm
not
sorry.
in Lindsay's contract in the discussion, and your response was in the discussion of, we're asking why Lindsay was fired. And your response,
Is to
and
reference the
indirectly, is to reference that letter that Lindsay wrote about library employees, not about the director of the library.
When people are fired, they aren't given reasons why. That is the standard operating procedure.
In the state of Vermont.
Not in Vermont. That's
It
not
may be
true.
different where you are. There may be ethical and moral reasons, as Rhonda stated, but that's the fact. That is my experience, and that is the experience of other people I know.
Harley, are you suggesting that
You're not
hiring
recognized.
her
We will
without
move on.
regard to what is moral?
No, I won't. We will move on now to the next item of business. You've spoken several times, Marty.
Don't bring up stuff from people's personnel files if you're not gonna put them in the minutes. I mean, this was
The paragraph I
ridiculous.
read will be in the minutes.
You could have Googled that, Harley. You didn't have to mention Lindsay's name and read it and pull it from a letter.
Absolutely misleading.
Totally
Absolutely.
misleading.
Agreed. Well, put it in the minutes, but
Is
then
it
please
clear now?
put it in the minutes.
No, not until it's in the minutes, it's not clear.
No, it's
That's
not
the-
clear. It's gonna go in the minutes, but in addition, in the minutes, there should be reference to a lot of the public being uncomfortable with that reference.
Thank you. Okay, next item, approval of minutes from the December regular meeting. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from the December meeting?
I'm going to.
Catherine makes a motion. Do we have a second? Joni seconds. Any discussion?
Can the public make a discussion on that?
Does it pertain directly to the minutes from does it pertain directly to the minutes from the December regular meeting?
Exactly. And I would say again, the minutes were threadbare. They met the absolute basic minimum state requirements, and they were completely without any definition of what's going on here. It's, you know, the minutes themselves seem to be a cover-up.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Heather?
Oh, I read my notes. Sorry, Sorry.
Motion carries. Approval of agenda, addition or deletion of agenda items. I would like to remove under new business involving community and staff search and creating advertisement and networking from the agenda of this meeting.
Nice.
Okay, do we approve the agenda as modified?
Yes.
Secretary's report?
I want to report that I sent a letter out to the board and to Lindsay saying that we would like to set up a special warned meeting with public comment, an executive session to which Lindsay and her counsel are invited, and I heard nothing back.
Thank you. Treasurer's report.
I'm sorry.
Treasurer's report.
Like, when was that sent?
Hold on, this isn't a public comment time.
Right, sorry.
But based on, we may have time to discuss the things that went on the agenda.
I'd be really curious to know.
Treasurer.
Yes. I have the treasurer's report. The balance in the checking account is $66,656.15. And the balance in the community funds remains the same as was reported the beginning of December. Actually, I don't think those numbers are quite accurate.
Could we have accurate numbers?
I sent them to the board. I sent the September 30th statements to the board the week of the first week in December. I'm saying that I don't think that these numbers have been updated by the town treasurer.
Oh, I see. So this is the most recent that you have from the
It's the
town
most
treasurer?
recent that I have from the town treasurer. I don't have copies, or maybe I do. I made these up. No, that was something else. I don't have copies of the statements from VCF. I sent them to each board member the end of the first week of December. I will send them to Julie.
Okay. Anything else for the treasurer's report?
No. I think that there's an update on the annual campaign, but I'm gonna let Adele give you that number.
We can move on then to what we call the director's report. Adele is going to deliver
Can I clarify
that.
something really quick? So are we saying the numbers are the same that was from December?
That she emailed out at the end of December because she
No,
hadn't received them
the
yet.
end of the first week of December,
End
the
of-
VCF funds.
Right.
But that number is only through the second quarter, September. Third quarter, sorry. So I don't have year end. I probably won't have year end until February.
Right, because they're just.
Director's report?
Right, that's me. Pretty busy this month, so I updated the rental agreement and the room rental and checklist, which had the old directors on it, the old librarian, the old board trustees. So I have the old compared to the new if you want to skim over it. And it's up to you, you're both here. I didn't make copies for everybody, but I can. So I just simplified it more, made it easier, because we have a lot of people calling to use the place. We have another homeschooling group wanting to come in, and we also have the sewing circle or knitting mothers that want to come in, which are part of homeschoolers because they're homeschool moms, but they want to meet once a month or twice a month. And she was going to call you, but I think her name is Hillary. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of info that she's still trying to gather about it and everything. So they want to meet at the library and hang out for an hour or two with no kids. So anyways, moving on from that, we have a renewed GMLC. And the statistics on that is 1723. That includes, that's part of Libby and Love, but we don't use Love. We don't pay for that. So ours is just Libby. It's our circulation of ebooks and audiobooks.
And that number was?
1,723. That downloaded books from 9/1/22 to 8/31/23. And we have new upcoming programs. We have Karen Huerta, who's running Storytime, starting this Friday. She's doing it twice a month, from ages 0 to 6, right around there for kids that young, and at 11 a.m. on Fridays. And then Molly's doing a holiday craft with older kids and teens once a month, around each holiday that's coming up in each month. So we've worked that out with her, and that starts January 13th. And then of course we haven't started it yet. Our first one is coming, which everybody's excited about, is the third Saturday matinee, which we're going to be running from 12 to 2. And we're going to provide popcorn and drinks for everybody. And they get to watch a free movie instead of having to drive all the way to Bennington or Queensbury to see a movie. So hopefully we'll keep the movies very updated, like something that just came out onto DVD recently. And we're all set for the Valentine's Day concert on February 14th on Wednesday. So we have Carl playing. And I was hoping the board could each donate a type of food platter. So somebody could donate meat, somebody could do fruits, one can do a relish, and one can do raw veggies. We can have crackers and bread, kind of like a charcuterie kind of thing, and people can just eat finger food. Because our Christmas party was so successful that we had on the 16th, we had over 60 people come to that. And there was so much crafts and stuff with the kids, and everybody had such a wonderful time. It's kind of nice to have another party. So, and then I wanted to just remind everybody of Nina's job, because everybody's kind of like, what does Nina do? So what Nina does is she does all the marketing for the library. She puts it all on Front Porch Forum. She makes all the flyers. She puts it into a mass email and sends it everybody who is set up in DonorSnap, because we're doing it through DonorSnap. And she's involved in all the fundraising, like the raffle and the book sale and the annual letter, and she keeps it all organized under DonorSnap, which is amazing. And she does this all in just a couple of days a week, because she doesn't work at home. She's only doing 12 hours a week. So if you have anything you wanted to send out or have a flyer made, talk to Nina. She's really good at it.
Can I ask you just to pop back?
Sure.
Carl who?
Oh, Carl, he's our guitar. I can't
Oh, he's the
pronounce.
guitar
Yes, yes. So he's on the report on my third page. I have all the names of the volunteers and what they're doing.
Dithom?
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
So that way we can all keep track. And Karen Huerta is still going to do the English language class. She just first wants to get comfortable doing the children's, and then we're going to move on to the English language class, probably in February, maybe March. It's up to her. And the adult painting class with Karen Ojara, which she, adult live model painting class, she still plans on starting that. It's just a matter of when with her. And she's looking at a Monday. And I've already got half a dozen people already interested in taking the class, so.
Is there a price with that?
There is not. She's not going to charge anything. The only thing she's going to charge for is for the model to sit. Then the people who are involved in it will pay the model. They'll just give however much it costs, like $10 or whatever. But I am telling everybody that they would have to provide all their own material, because we're just not going to fork the money over for that. Which would be easels and canvases and paints, and I don't even know, I'm not a painter, so I don't know a lot about it. I am asking if maybe we could get a new printer for the patron usage.
Do we charge?
Don't use it very much. The ink is like $80. The ink ends up drying up before we even get through half of it. I mean, there's very rarely people use it. And if they do need like color, they usually just email it to the director, and then I print it out off of our printer.
Do we charge for people?
We do charge. It's like 10 cents for black and white to print out, and 10 or 20 cents. Most people just donate money. They just, and Celeste Keel, who's our tech support, suggested that we buy a laser printer, that you can buy a black and white one for about $149 from Staples. And that's about what it's used for, is just to run. So it's up to you guys, if you want to just continue buying ink for it. I believe that printer was donated when Andre used to work here. I think he sold it either to the library very reasonably priced because he had it kicking around at his place. But the ink is ridiculous for that printer, and it just dries up. So, something to think about, but we do have to do something because the ink is dried up and nobody can print off of it right now. And yoga's attendance, I noticed, have been down, but it seems like it popped back up today. We just had signed on 4 new people this evening, so, but we have been putting it out there, marketing it. I've been having Nina doing a mass email, and being it's the new year and everybody wants to lose weight, and so they're going to join yoga. So hopefully that continues. Even though Lisa May probably can only have 10 people in her class for the room, she had 9 today, so that's pretty good. Chair yoga is a little slower because we also compete with Bone Builders, and Bone Builders pulls in a lot of people.
Clarification, the capacity for this room, you think, for yoga?
Well, considering, you've got to stretch out and you've got to lay a mat, and I would say a dozen at the most.
I see. Okay.
But that's a tight fit.
Mm-hmm.
And Ingram, I ran into a huge problem with them. I can't figure out their website, so I just moved on. So I'm buying books from Able, Better World Books, Walmart, and I found that Ingram books are priced higher, and then they give you a discount of 40% off, and Walmart runs them cheaper than Ingram either way. So it's just actually using math to create better, to save money for the library, basically, wherever I can. And I was thinking about our annual letter. Instead of just sending a thank you letter, maybe we should invest into thank you cards, and that we have the board and the staff sign them personally. I think people would be more up to be like a card in the mail instead of another letter. I was looking at, Snapfish. Is it Snapfish? One of those that you can buy very nice classic cards. Have a little something printed in them, and then we can just all sign them and ship them off when we need to as a thank you. And I gave an example. So as our statistics at the end of the year, to start out with, since the annual appeal letter, we've received $6,065. And that's pretty good for 1 month, I think. We've had interlibrary loan for December. We sent out 24 books and we received 32. And for the year of interlibrary loan, we sent out 374 books and we received 339 books, and that includes audios and DVDs, but I don't keep track separately of each one. It's just a little too much. And we've actually checked out 242 packets of seeds in 2023, which is really nice, and I do have someone working on the seeds, volunteering, so she's coming in and just filling up packets with what seeds we have. I'm going to do a shout out on Facebook or somewhere to get people to drop seeds off because our seeds are outdated. So, some of them. So we really need to get some 2024 in. I mean, we can get them. I've sent out a couple of letters to different seed companies, but I haven't had a response. So, and I know that there are places that they've got their 2024 seeds out, and you can already get 40% off. So, if we have a budget, I don't know if we have a budget for seed buying. I don't know if that's in something else.
Do you have the budget? No?
I don't have, no.
Okay, let's make sure you.
Yeah,
get a
I don't
copy
have
so you
any
know
of that
what,
stuff because it was on the computer that we can't get into. So we've had annual library use. We had 3,679 books were checked out, 82 audiobooks and 335 DVDs. And 14 equipment, which means snowshoes and saucers, because it's under equipment. And for the month, do I have that down? Yeah, we had 8 audios, 24 DVDs, and 388 books checked out. I didn't check to see if you were the top patron, but I have a feeling you might be. Sorry, Linda. And in Libby, we had 59 downloads for this month. 44 were young adults, including nonfiction and fiction, and then 15 of them were just regular nonfiction and fiction adults, 15 downloads. Did I miss anything? I think I got it all. Canopy, we had 62 downloads, but there were 608 visits, which is kind of cool. So there were 608 of our patrons out there looking at the movies. And
is that for December or for the year?
That's just for December.
Wow.
So a lot of kids are home from school, so they're looking at finding something to watch because of the writer's strike and there's nothing on TV. So 62 of them were downloaded. And that is it. That's it for me. Any questions?
Yes. You mentioned a printer.
Yes, printer.
In consultation with Celeste or?
Yes, Celeste told us what printer to get. She said it's the most reasonably priced. I think that is in the other room. So it was $149 at Staples. She left me the little code number and all that.
I see. Do we, as a board, need to approve that?
Yeah, I don't know. Here it is. It's a Brother, FMC.
I don't think so. I think it would fall under library supplies.
Okay. So I can go ahead and order it? Okay, great.
Yes.
Good.
Ingram.
That's complicated.
Yes. Linda Welch, is that something you know how to do? Ingram, the publisher? No?
No.
But you're finding that it's not
I'm finding it's not that great of a, it's not user-friendly website, number one, because they are worldwide, and they supply books for every library, bookstore, any place that needs to be books, there's books. They supply. So they create, I guess you have to create a list and keep this list. There's like a lot of different steps. There's no add to the cart, pay here kind of thing.
I see.
Whereas we're all used to, so.
And that's the only publisher we get from that's a difficulty?
Well, Barnes & Noble, I mean, not Barnes & Noble, but a Baker & Taylor. But we could go back to Baker & Taylor, but we had issues with them before. That's why we left them, because we weren't getting our books. They were like months late when we ordered them and stuff, so.
The
But there are a lot of other options out there, and you just have to play with it, that's all, and figure it out and create little, for the amount of books that we buy for this library, it doesn't necessarily, we don't have to have something, a large amount come in. Because we pick up a lot of books from the book sale, and I don't mind if we have a used book in here every now and then instead of brand new. And it's a lot more reasonably priced.
And familiarity with the budget, is that something, can you send her the 23-24
Yeah.
Budget that we're currently in?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you. Is that it?
That's it on my end.
Questions about the report? Okay.
You're welcome. Thank you for.
Thank you, Adele.
You're welcome.
Unfinished business, roof leak and ceiling repair. We had a rain event and I was looking at it, but that's all the action I took. It doesn't look like it's actively leaking. And we should not still be waiting for, but we are waiting for the contractor. I will have to get after the contractor. I went through, under volunteer training, I can now check in books and learned some surprising things, actually.
Yes.
And I'm volunteering to have the library open on Wednesday evenings from 5 to 8. So Wednesday's hours are 11 to 8.
I've got a lot of good feedback with that too. A lot of people are very excited about staying open until 8 o'clock. Because most people work and they can't make it. So I've been telling people that the library's open until 8.
Busier than it was last week.
It should, and I think maybe if we create maybe game night or something while you're here if you want. And maybe eventually we'll have some staff that can just be paid instead of volunteer to sit.
Right. Well, this is good for winter.
Yeah, it's good for
heated,
winter.
There's fast internet.
Yes.
But any other comments about volunteer training?
I was also here once. I need to come back, but some other things have taken precedence
I see.
on my time. So
Well, you're getting 2 lessons?
I need more than one.
Is there anyone in the audience or any of the other board members who want to volunteer? We can do training and...
I'd be more than happy to train you to volunteer here.
I've said I want to, I just haven't said anything.
That's okay. You've got time. We have Linda Welch. She's a great volunteer. And she's been here because I don't work Thursdays. So Nina is also running the desk as well as doing all her other work on Thursdays. So, and then she leaves at 3 and then Linda comes in and works until 5 or 2:30 to 5. And everybody said, yeah, that older woman was here. So she's been very...
Which older?
Linda Welch.
I'm surprised.
But yeah, she's been very helpful to everybody and she knows what she's doing. So I have complete, I know that she's going to do a great job. So I don't have a problem with her doing.
Okay. Any other, yes?
Is there a minimum requirement of volunteering if you're trained? Like, what's a standard amount of time?
To train, I just, you basically would be checking in and checking out. That's it. That's all you would be doing. You'd be sitting at the desk.
Yeah.
And I teach you would be taught how to, set the alarm when you leave and everything like that.
Yeah.
And just be courteous, nice, and if you can't, and if you can't, if you don't really know, just tell them you don't know, and call the library.
Volunteer.
Just set up when you want training, and if you want to come in and volunteer 1 day a week or 1 day a month is fine too. And I actually encourage high schoolers because when they go to college, They need those letters of recommendation, and the library is the #1 place to get the best recommendation. And if you got a teenager that likes to volunteer, they should come to the library, because it's amazing. I mean,
You should put that in front porch forum.
yeah, I mean, we put it out there, and kids will start, and then they just fizzle, and it's like, wow. Yes, and libraries are so important in that area as a place to volunteer at. Even with yours, they never too old to start. They can always start young. Just by learning where the books are and straightening the shelves, and just, there's always something to do at a library.
Library annual report. Is this a discussion about volunteer?
Yeah, I just had a question for the chair. Is the chair and the board aware that the Vermont Department of Libraries Board of Trustees training manual describes board members volunteering for a public library as not best practice and a potential conflict of interest? So I just wanted to be sure that our board and the chair knew this.
No, I had no idea.
Might be worth reading the training manual for Library Board of Trustees, everybody on the board.
Thank you.
And learn about best practices and potential conflicts of interest.
Library annual report for the Pawlet annual report. I have it. And I had copies for everyone. And if you want to stop by my house, that's where they are. But
I got it, but I emailed it.
And I also emailed it to look over. And I hope I don't regret this, but I firmly believe giving credit where credit is due. And I'm not entirely aware of all the programs that I'm crediting to Lindsay having done this year and mentioning in the report. I'm not sure I caught them all. Would you be willing to look it over and add any that I missed? Thank you. New business? I thought there was a subject that... We what? Oh, yeah, no, I know we took those off.
Can I bring up a point of old business, just?
Yes, old business?
We talked about looking for a new safe.
Okay.
If you and I could do some research.
Settle on one?
Yep.
Okay.
Did you order one? Because I can't open that safe. I've tried and tried.
No, that's why I just brought it up.
Yeah. Although we did it perfectly, the one time we...
I can do it.
She's got the magic touch.
I see.
I
Well,
don't.
But you two are gonna look in, aren't you?
Yes.
yes. Okay,
Are we asking for new business?
sorry?
Are we looking for new business? Are we still in old business? 'Cause I had a follow-up question and I wasn't sure where to put it.
Is it under unfinished? Oh,
It was a follow-up question about the representation for the library board.
which topic was that?
So I had been asking about, you were talking to an attorney, and it's someone in Rutland, presumably?
Yes, that's not an old business subject.
So I can't ask that question?
During public comment, yes.
So I'll have to wait till a month from now?
Given the time, yes.
Oh, good, okay, thank you.
Is there any, I don't think there's new business, and was there another old business? No. Okay.
So, just to clarify on the safe, we're looking at getting a new safe because our current safe is not open.
No, I can get it open, Adele can't. It's very tricky.
It's a security feature.
Yes, very persnickety.
It's very old.
I would entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel matters.
I make a motion to move to executive session to discuss personnel matters.
Second.
Second by Catherine. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you for your attendance.